Guys, we are delighted to announce that we are working with the one and only One Football app where you can follow your favourite team, your favourite leagues, and of course, get in game notifications straight to your device.
And guys, that is not all. One Football are now offering people in the UK and Ireland the chance to watch selected match highlights and live games from some of the best leagues in the world. I'm talking Serie A, La Liga, Liga Portugal, and the DFB Pokal, including a Saturday night live Serie A game. So what more could you want? What are you waiting for? Head down to the link in the description below and download the One Football app.
Hello, guys, and welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer. And this is week 14 of our Premier League predictions. Guys, do us a favour. We've got a live coming on Thursday, and we've got two big guests joining us for talking about the weekend's football ahead. But without further ado, Scott, I'm going to throw it over to you to talk about the first game, which is Leicester versus Man City.
Yes, and as always, do hit that like button and do subscribe. Right, let's talk about Leicester taking on City. And to be honest, Leicester are probably going into this with much confidence. Obviously, they've got a 4-0 victory over the team we support, Wolves. They didn't have a lot of possession in that game, but what they did do was the one thing that counted, they got the goals. And I think, Brendan Rodgers, I feel like a bit of pressure might be off his back now as well. They were celebrating with the fans. Obviously, I was there to see that and see it painfully happen. But, that you just feel there's a bit more of a joyful kind of view around Leicester at the moment. But they come against City, which isn't going to be an easy challenge. But as we have seen in recent weeks, City are not as invincible as everyone maybe once thought. We have seen them obviously drop points a week ago. So that could give Leicester some hope. I do think this is actually going to be a very close game, to be honest. I don't think City are going to want to run away with it. I'm going to go for a 2-1 result, though. I am going to back Man City to get the job done just about.
Yeah, me too. A little bit of a bogey team, Leicester are for City, but I'm gonna back. I'm gonna back City. I think there'll be goals on both sides. I'm gonna say 3-1 to the visitors. Next up is Bournemouth. They take on Spurs, and both these teams go into this game with back-to-back defeats. Spurs not too long ago they were looking like title contenders. You could argue North London were doing well. Them and Arsenal, of course, Man City as well. And also Bournemouth, they went on that incredible run after getting rid of Parker, slowly starting to fall down the table. Now they're 14th, only 4 points above the relegation zone. Even with Spurs' troubles, I am going to back them. They are away, so I don't think it's going to be as convincing. But I'm going to say a 2-0 Spurs win.
Yeah, I think it's time for Bournemouth to either make their mind up on, are they going to get a new manager in, or are they going to give the caretaker boss, who's done a fantastic job, in my opinion, the job, because after back-to-back losses, I'm seeing pressure on them already. Unfortunately, I do think it'll be 3 losses on the bounce for them, and I'm going to actually go 2-0 to Spurs. I don't think Bournemouth will get the goal. Let's move on to Brentford taking on Wolves. James, I could go on about what the teams have done previously, etc. But let's be honest, this boils down to one thing. Will Brentford score? Because if Brentford score, they've won the game. It's honestly that simple, because I don't see Wolves scoring, and it's my club. I watch them all the time. Unfortunately for us, it is that simple at the moment. If the other team scores, they've won the game. Do I think Brentford will score? Yes, I do. So I'm going to go for 1-0 to Brentford, another Wolves loss.
It's one of those where we could come out and put in a performance 4-0 at home against a semi-rival Leicester, or we could just go on a spiral. I think we're down. People know that. And listen, it's looking like it could be on the cards. Scott, I think we might get battered again. And I'm not trying to be one of those fans that always looks on the negative part. I don't think we'll lose 3 or 4-0, but I think we'll lose 2-0, but a convincing loss. I think they'll, pretty much
I could see that as well. Yeah.
2-0 to Brentford for me. Next up is Brighton versus Chelsea. And this is a game that a lot of neutrals have been looking forward to. Potter going back to the Amex. I don't think it's going to be an easy game. I think the players are going to be up for it. They're going to want to, show him, no, maybe you shouldn't have left us, but I'm sure no one has any ill will for him going to Chelsea. Obviously, Chelsea, 3 wins and 2 draws in their last 5 games, going along nicely. For Brighton, though, the magic has kind of worn off, hasn't it? That top four push at the start of the season that everyone was talking about, it's not really there. No winning 5 games now, Scott, for Brighton. And you don't really say that about this Brighton team a lot over the last few
No.
years. No winning 5. I think Chelsea get it done just about, but I think it's going to be a cagey game. I'm going to say 2-1 to Chelsea.
Yeah, it's interesting. Obviously, the new Brighton manager did start off very well, and as you said, Potter, he's gone obviously gone unbeaten in his last 5, but he is going to be on a bit more pressure than he was at Brighton to not just go unbeaten, but to actually keep getting those wins. I think this is going to be a really tight game. I think it'll be great atmosphere at the Amex Stadium as well. And I think that will give Brighton a slight advantage. But I think I'm going to equal your scoreline as well. I think I'm going to go for 2-1, a close game.
You just copy me on every score prediction I give. What are we doing here? Move
we
on,
never
move
usually
on.
agree. But yeah, I am going to say Chelsea to get the win. Let's talk about Palace taking on Saints now. And let's start off with Southampton, because I think every prediction video we've done, or definitely one that we've done together, we always back Southampton to lose, both of us. They managed to pull off the massive draw against Arsenal. And they will come into this game now with a bit of confidence and a bit of pressure off Ralph Hasenhüttl as well. It does have to be said. Palace, on the other hand, you look at them, they got the win against Wolves, but then they're obviously beaten at the weekend in some fashion. And I think obviously at home, they're going to want to bounce back against that performance as well. I think that could create a really good catalyst for a really good game, to be honest. And I think there'll be goals in this one as well. I usually keep backing Southampton to lose. I'm going to go one better, but I'm not going to quite give them the win. I'm going to give it a draw, and I am going to go 2-2. That is my prediction.
Yeah, not a great result for Palace, was it? 3-0 down. I mean, Iwobi's doing back heels for assists in the box. That's when you know you're struggling, believe me. Jesus Christ. I think I'm going to back Palace, though. I don't know why. Something about it, that Selhurst Park thing. I think I'm going to back them. I think I'm going to say 2-1 to the home side. 2-1 Crystal Palace. Next up is a big fixture. This is a big fixture in English football. Newcastle against Villa. It's got that Premier League magic too, hasn't it? Newcastle, Villa, big teams. Newcastle, what can you say? One loss all season. One loss. It's unbelievable. And they would have been looking at this fixture thinking, cool, this is another 3 points. And then what do Villa do? They go out and they win 4-0. And not only do they win 4-0, they go and sign, in my opinion, one of the most underrated managers in Europe in Unai Emery. They get rid of Gerrard. I mean, Gerrard's office chair is still warm from his backside. Like he's been gone for no time at all, and they bring in a serial winner. This is going to be a difficult game. Newcastle 4 wins and 1 draw in their last 5. God, I would have given it Newcastle easily had it not been for Emery and that big win. I think I'm going to give it them, but I don't think it'll be comfortable. I'm going to say 1-0 Newcastle, KG 1-0.
I think it's going to be interesting because obviously, as we found out, Emery doesn't actually start to the 1st of November, but he's going to have some effect, just that buzz around the Villa supporters. Probably helps Newcastle, but it is at home. For, obviously at home at Newcastle, it's at Villa Park. I think if it was at Villa Park, I might have gave Villa at least a draw, but I can only see it going one way with it being at Newcastle. I think Villa do get a goal, though. I'm going to go 3-1. I do just think Newcastle at the moment look on such good goal-scoring form, so I am going to give it to Newcastle. Let's move on to the next game. We're talking about Fulham taking on Everton, and obviously we touched on Alex Iwobi previously, talking about how well he's doing. Makes you wonder if any fouling winger, you should just make them a centre mid, because we've seen it happen with Joe Linton. We've seen it happen with Iwobi now. Maybe we could just take our Wolves wingers, make them centre mids, and they'll be world beaters. I don't know. But yeah, Everton, they're buzzing, aren't they? And I think having a leader kind of Cody, he was once again superb. And I'm not just saying that because of the love that we have of him as Wolves fans. He's just been absolutely superb at Everton, and now echo that as well. But they come up against a Fulham team, which it's going to be a bit of a difficult game. I think, Fulham, especially at Craven Cottage, they're not going to be easy to beat this season. I think we've said it a couple of times. It's not the Fulham of old that would come up and then you'd expect them to go back down. I think this is a stable Fulham team, and I don't feel like this is a team, and we've seen it before, haven't we, when a team comes up, they do really well and then just drop off after Christmas. I don't see that happening with Fulham. I think they are a very stable team, and I think they are here to stay at least till next season. I think I'm going to go for a draw in this one. I think purely just because it is at Craven Cottage. I think Everton are a bit stronger, obviously, when it's at Goodison for good reason when they've got those Everton supporters. So I'm going to go for 1-1 in this one.
I'm so glad you said 1-1 because in my head I'm thinking I'm going draw 2-2. That's what I'm going for. Yeah, I'm quite happy for Everton. Their fans deserve this after last season, and obviously Fulham that victory against Leeds 3-2 at the weekend, unbelievable. 2-2 I've gone, you've gone 1-1. Speaking of Leeds, they travel to Anfield, where if you're a Liverpool fan right now, you go and beat Man City 1-0. You lose to Forest and you're thinking, what are you doing
What's
here?
happening?
Yeah, it's just unbelievable with what's going on at Liverpool at the moment. But Scott, I'm going to give you a stat now about Leeds, and I double checked this 3 times. I'm just going to check it again on my notes here. Yeah, it is right. The last victory Leeds, remember the start of the season Leeds had? They beat Wolves on the opening day 2-1 after going 1-0 down. I think they won 2 of the first 3 with a draw. Rodrigo had 4 goals. Their last victory in the league was August 21st, a 3-0 win against Chelsea. August 21st. It's the 25th of October.
Yeah.
They've just been plummeting down the table, even with Liverpool's inconsistencies. I'm going to back them with the Liverpool crowd. They do well at home, and I think they could do Leeds, to be fair. They're going to have to bounce back after Forest. I'm going to say 3-0.
I think, as you said, now you've read that stat out, especially you can see why the Leeds faithful are turning on Marsh. We've, of course, got a Leeds guest coming on tomorrow's live, so check that one out. I think I'm going to back Liverpool as well. I think I'm going to give Leeds a goal, though. I'm going to go 3-1, but I do just think Leeds' defence is a little bit too weak to deal with Liverpool, to be honest. Let's talk about Arsenal now taking on Forest. And Forest, as we've just spoke about Liverpool, they pulled off the giant killing. Question is, are they set for another giant killing? This is going to be an interesting game because, as we know, Arsenal are going to want to fight back after that disappointing result to Southampton. We've seen interviews from various Arsenal players and Arteta himself just saying it purely weren't good enough. And although I think Forest are on a positive run, I think because of that result that Arsenal got, especially at the Emirates, I feel they're going to come back with some might. I really do. I feel like maybe I'm being a bit diskind to Forest because they have turned things around lately, but I think they're in for some beating. Sorry, Forest fans. I know we've got quite a few subscribers. I'm going to go 4-0 Arsenal.
Ooh! Preempting it with a kind word to the Forest fans. I don't think it'll quite be 4-0. You've got to remember the last time these two sides met in last year's FA Cup, Forest got the victory over Arsenal, didn't they? So you never know, maybe they could repeat it. I'm going to go for an Arsenal win. They were unlucky at the weekend against Southampton. Should have had a penalty. Could have had 2, you could argue.
Yeah.
But I think they get the victory. I'm going to say 2-0 to Arsenal. I'm not going to say 4-0. Last but not least. Well, that's okay for me. Last but not least is United versus West Ham. And again, like the Newcastle playing Villa, this is a big, big fixture. I can't wait to watch this game. United have really turned it around. 2 wins, 2 draws, and 1 defeat in the last 5. They'd like to turn a few of those draws into defeats. But for West Ham, wasn't that long ago they were in the relegation zone below Wolves, and now they're 10th in the table, going so well. 2-0 victory on Monday night against Bournemouth, I believe it was. Yeah, Bournemouth 2-0 win. I've got a funny feeling about West Ham. I really do. David Moyes going back to his old club where it didn't end well. I think his record against United is decent as a West Ham manager. I think I'm going to back a draw here. And I'm going to say 1-1.
You took the thunder out of me because I was literally going to go, I fancy West Ham to do something here. I don't know what to do now. We don't usually agree, and we've agreed too much.
5-0 West Ham.
I'm going to have to agree with you. 1-1. I do think it'll be 1-1. And it was interesting to hear Moyes say that, we're not worried about relegation. We've still got hopes of Europe this season, and he has turned it around, hasn't he, in the last 5? But guys, as always, let us know your predictions. Hit that like button. Do hit subscribe as well, and we'll catch you on the next one. Take care. Goodbye.